Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to add a Q to the news show.
That's right, folks. Thanks to unprecedented demand for our uniquely brave reporting, we've been forced to do this to ensure our quality viewer experience. But you know what? You know what? I think just for you, and only for you, don't tell anyone else we're doing this, all right? This is a favor. We're going to skip you right to the front of the line.
That's because they're the Inside Games Premium member. They paid extra.
I totally forgot about Battlefield Premium. Jesus Christ.
All right, so we'll talk about Battlefield 6 because, of course, the open beta early access has started today. It's off to a roaring start, currently being the third most played game on all of Steam, with about 300,000 concurrent players at the time of writing.
That's really impressive, but a majority of that 300K may not actually be playing the game.
Yeah, most players are seeing login queues here that contain a bulk of that 300,000 player count, with screenshots on social media showing lines 270,000 deep.
This is just what it is. This is everything. You gotta wait in line, man. Battlefield developers issued a word of forewarning from the Battlefield comms account about potential queues as the beta sparked up late last night, posting that they will, quote, use queues to protect the player experience, but expect this impact to be minimal.
12 hours of this, I don't know, it's necessarily minimal. Demand proved higher than expected nearly immediately, as just 2 hours later, the Battlefield comms account posted that the team was, quote, now working on a substantial increase in server capacity, which will reduce your time in the queue.
Yeah, okay, so I guess we can assume, although the assumptions always hurt with Battlefield launches, we can assume then that queue times are probably at their worst that they'll ever be right now, and the times will gradually go down as player counts stabilize and server infrastructure scales up.
That's a big assumption, Lawrence. Good for you. Regardless, pulling 300,000 concurrent players in the early access window of the open beta is a strong sign that player interest is very, very high in Battlefield 6.
Yeah, this 300,000 count doesn't include any numbers from Xbox or PlayStation or non-Steam players on PC. People playing via Epic. We got to think about the Epic players.
So the actual player count is much, much higher, we assume. Additionally, this is still the early access window. So there's 2 days of this, and then the actual open beta starts on Saturday.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the more prestige window here. You have to have been a member of Battlefield Labs, a card-carrying member of EA Play Pro, or I think what's probably most common at this point, receive a code from a Twitch drop by watching somebody who's in the beta for, I think, 30 minutes.
They're actually giving those away right now, too. So they're like bringing new people in, and then I assume just making the queue bigger.
Yeah, I'm trying to harvest my code off of Rob as we speak, so thanks, buddy.
So it's possible the beta numbers will swell even more as the first proper open beta window begins on Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday will be the actual open beta, and they're going to do another weekend next weekend too. But I want to say, Lawrence, they're probably just testing this on us.
Oh, of course. Yeah, but if it's an open beta and it's free, I think everybody accepts being a guinea pig for the sake of trying out a game for free before it comes out. That seems like a pretty fair exchange.
I agree. Battlefield 6 caused some grumbles in the PC community by requiring secure boot for its anti-cheat implementation. Though it seems that wasn't enough to keep players from trying the game out. I have seen a few people complain about this on Twitch, and my solution is always the same. Don't play the game. If you don't want to do it, just don't play the game. It's that easy.
Yeah, it's the march of technology. I know a lot because it requires Windows 11. It requires like getting into your BIOS and changing some things, and people get awfully what's the word? Defensive when it comes to the levels of anti-cheat that they're going to allow in their PC. But yeah, you can just not play it. Sorry.
Also, Lawrence, I logged in last night at the very beginning, like 1 a.m. or whatever it was my time, just to make sure that it was working and I could play. And I waited in the queue of like 25,000 at launch. So, and that went through in about 10 minutes. They got to solve this problem like yesterday. And this is something like Lawrence just said, that this is free and we are the guinea pigs, but the longer that this queue lasts and the bigger it becomes and the more people they invite into the beta, that the worse this is going to be, because people aren't going to play the game. They're only going to remember the fact that they couldn't play, and they're going to be angry about it.
Yeah, but it seems like people are making it through, kind of like you did. You said it took like 20 minutes to get through 25,000 people.
It was like 10 minutes, not too bad. So
it's not too bad. It's not too bad. And honestly, like the bar is pretty low when it comes to functionality with a Battlefield launch. So the mere fact that I can like watch somebody playing the game on Twitch and they can play the game for 30 interrupted minutes without it crashing, and it can go from one match into the next. Yeah, like I said, the standards are pretty low, but it's already, correct me if I'm wrong about this, Bruce, but even in this state, even with a queue and everything like that, once the game's actually playing, it seems pretty stable. I don't know if that's just by Battlefield standards or if that's by all standards, but this seems to be the most stable, successful launch already, even with long queues, because yeah, you can actually play a match all the way through, and there's, you know, people aren't glitching into walls, there's not server crashes and things like that so far.
I don't want to jump on this too early, but I think you're right. I played last night. Once I got in, uninterrupted for 45 minutes. The game was as polished as it was last week when I played at the event. I was really honestly shocked at how polished that build was, and it looks just as good, or maybe even a little better now. So they're doing a great job. And apart from the queues, if you are able to play the game and you're having a good time, which I was, then great. And I also encourage you, whoever's in the comments, to let us know if you've had, because I've seen a few people have had crashes. Somebody was telling me there's either a memory leak or it takes up a bunch of memory the longer you let the game run. So who knows? Yeah, so far so good. They're few and far between in terms of those glitches. But you're right, Lawrence. It's not a terrible Battlefield launch like, you know, Giraffe Man's and terrible network issues. There's a couple of netcode problems, but they're pretty minor. There's that one glitch that I keep seeing where the guys wiggle back and forth, and that's really funny. But other than that, seems pretty good.
Yeah, everything seems to be going well. For me, the first test was, can you get people to care? And they seem to have done that pretty admirably. So, okay, now you have to actually get people to play the game and have a good time. And that's maybe the stumbling block at this point, but having too many players that want to try your game is a good problem to have. And they seem like they're, for whatever it's worth, they were ready with a tweet saying that they were working hard on scaling up infrastructure. So, yeah, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. You know, this is the early access window. I think that people are willing to accept a little instability or maybe a wait. But then this is also your most engaged players, so they're the ones that are the most willing to wait. You get into the open beta, hopefully by then, you know, 2 days from now, people can just download it and fly right into the game and have a good time, and everyone will be playing Battlefield again, and it'll be great.
Man, I really hope so. I'm so excited for this game to succeed. I just don't want them to step on their own dick. That's it. That's all. I just don't want it to happen. And I don't have to hand it to EA, but I will say that EA is not doing pre-order and then you get into the beta. I love that. I love that they're just like, here, just play it. Everybody try it. Hopefully they stick to that monetization. Then it's like, you know, a bunch of other pre-order to get 5 days. There's probably going to be an early access period for the launch or whatever. But at least for the open beta, it's free.
Yeah, everyone can try it out, provided you have a machine that can run it. And that's, you really can't ask for a better setup than that. I guess the entire game could be free, but that comes with its own caveats.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it seems like we're off to the races. It seems like they're doing everything right so far.
We'll see. And now we get to talk about how Inside Games is on your side.
That's right. You can spend the weekend playing Battlefield 6 for free, or maybe Bethesda can tempt you with Elder Scrolls Online. That's free this weekend because of QuakeCon. There's also QuakeCon sales going on, but that's not free games, and we're here to save you money. Speaking of, we got some other free games. It's Thursday, so the Prime games have rolled around this week. Amazon Prime is offering Thief Definitive Edition. That's the 2014 Thief, not the older Thief. Civilization 3, a weird civ, but there you go. And Marvel Midnight Suns, pretty good lineup. They also have a bunch of other games that they've given away in in previous weeks that are still there. But that's your crop. That should keep you busy over the weekend.
And we'd also like to thank a few patrons that support our Inside Games Patreon every single month. They always get front of the line privilege around here because they are Inside Games premium members. It's a joke. That's a joke. We don't actually do that. Bakubam and Jonathan Lanowski, no velvet rope or lack of $5 a month can hold you back.